Hey, what's up, guys? I'm back, and I wanted to say thank you very much. We've hit 8,000 subscribers, and I wanted to express my thanks to everyone who has supported this channel over the past year or so as we've grown. And I really want to thank you very much. Special thanks to Player Essence, Obi-Wan Plays, Shokyo, Game Explain, YXBA for giving me shoutouts on their channels. I really appreciate you guys very much. So, for today's video, though, I want to talk about Nintendo and their innovation. I've been hearing a lot of talk lately about the NX and people discussing whether or not the NX would just be basically a handheld hybrid device without having any kind of competitive power against the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One or PC for that matter. For it to be a hybrid device, it would have to have something really special about it. Because the handheld market is dwindling, and it basically is being eaten up by smartphone devices and tablets. So for the NX to have some kind of really strong hook, besides it being able to be played on your TV and take on the go, something else would really need to be basically the gimmick of the console, right? Because I really don't see how Nintendo could be completely successful with a complete hybrid device, or even if that was only the secret of the console, of it being able to be taken on the go with you from your controller. I really don't see how realistically that could be the selling point of the console. I think it would work really well in Japan, but in the United States I don't think it would be quite a must-have device for everybody, because me personally, I don't really game on handhelds that much. I really like the 3DS a lot, but I just don't use it as much as a home console. So for me, having a console that could be taken on the go on the controller with a screen doesn't really appeal to me that much. It's cool, like the idea is cool, but as far as me using it, I don't really see myself using it, and I think it would be a wasted cost on Nintendo's part just to have that be the quote-unquote gimmick of the system. So that's why I don't think that would be the only secret of the NX, of what's left about it. There has to be something else that Nintendo's going to do that is forward-thinking for the core gamer. So let's think back, way back to the Super Nintendo, before a lot of you guys were even born. Again, I'm 35 years old, I've been a fan since Nintendo first released the NES in '85. So I've been around through all these systems. I've seen the innovations, I've seen the technology increase along with the innovations. So with the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, I love saying that full name, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, my favorite Nintendo system of all time, what Nintendo did was they increased the technology quite a bit in the Super Nintendo over the NES. It was a Super Nintendo, like everything was better, right? The better graphics, better sound, better controller, everything was increased. The controller was not a completely different controller from the NES. It had the same things from the NES, but on the Super NES it was increased. It had more face buttons, it had the shoulder buttons, it had the D-pad, select and start was still there. So games could still be played like an original NES console game could be played. However, the system controller on the Super Nintendo added more buttons, and the placement of the buttons was very innovative as well, because it lent possibilities to easier playing racing games, having more functionality with drifting, fighting games having more options with buttons, having more control, and other games as well. Even experimented with first-person shooters with Wolfenstein and Doom on the Super Nintendo, having full 3D movement. That Super Nintendo controller definitely was very versatile in being able to do that as well. Now, you fast forward to the Wii. The Wii, Nintendo completely changed the control interface, just 180. They completely changed it. And they didn't really upgrade the console's technology for graphics, because the interface was so way out there that it caught you by surprise. It really drew them in to try that for themselves physically. Now, to the Wii U, Nintendo did that again to an extent, and they relied heavily on the interface of the Wii U, and basically making the gamepad the sole proprietor of their innovation for that console. While they did add better technology in the system, they still didn't meet the standards of the competition for that part of it. And by that time, graphics and technology had increased to the point where it became extremely important for gamers to have the best graphics available to them at that time. Nintendo kind of met them halfway. They gave them a system that could produce great graphics for what it could do in its own bubble, for games made exclusively for it, basically. And they made this controller the main focus of the Wii U. And unfortunately, they did not focus on that controller as much as they should have, or have at least made it something that could be used for everyone to enjoy. Only a few games could really use the functionality of the Wii U gamepad. Deus Ex, Human Revolution, Mass Effect, Zombie U, just a few games that could really use that functionality of the Wii U gamepad to full effect. And there's more games out there that use it pretty well too. Xenoblade Chronicles X uses it really well. The Wii U was all about having these great games to play on. The controller really was actually kind of like a distraction from those games. You had to look down at the screen, you had to do something on the screen down there in order to make something work on the screen on the TV. So unfortunately, that idea didn't work out for Nintendo very well for the Wii U. And since that idea did not work out, what you had left was a console that was less powerful than the competition and didn't have a selling point basically of it. The controller, nobody cared about the controller, nobody cared to buy it. And so basically you had a Wii U console for most of the games being functional with just the Pro Controller. And a lot of people, I've seen it myself, just use the Pro Controller with the Wii U because they don't see the reason to use the gamepad. It's bulky, it has low battery life, it dies in 3 hours or so with the stock battery unless you buy an upgraded battery pack. The Wii U Pro Controller has 80 hours of battery life, and it's very comfortable, and it works for just about all the games Nintendo has for the Wii U, including their own games made for the gamepad, except for a few like Nintendo Land and Star Fox Zero has issues with just the Pro Controller. You have to use the gamepad to play single player, and Splatoon, of course. So getting back to my point, the Wii U compared to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One is lacking so many features that if you just are using the Pro Controller with the system, it's lacking so much that there's absolutely no reason for any core gamer to buy that console. So for the Nintendo NX, it has to have voice chat, it has to have operating system features like party chat, on-screen notifications, Twitch streaming straight from the console. It needs to have a controller that can do everything that the other systems can do, and this time it needs to have the technology be up to the standards of modern tech, which is the latest graphics technology for their console, in order for it to be competitive, in order for it to get all the games, in order for it to do everything the other consoles can do. Now, that is not enough, because everyone already has a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One that can do that, right? So, what the challenge is for Nintendo is to make the Nintendo NX a console that will do all those things and add their own signature innovation on top of that with the controller or some other way of doing their innovation. However, they cannot place all their eggs in that basket of the innovation. If they put all their eggs in that one basket of innovation, they cannot let the technology of the console or the features of the console go by the wayside and just forget about them and think that everyone's just going to buy that console for the innovation only. They have to have all those things there, make it one big package that makes perfect sense to the consumer as to why it is an upgrade over the other systems, and also adding all those features that the other systems have, except adding more innovation that Nintendo is known for. I think that's what Nintendo is trying to do with the NX. With Kimishima as president, he understands that competition is very, very, very important for Nintendo right now, and they need to be competitive in not just the controller or features part of the console. They need to be competitive with graphics and games and have the same games across their own platform. Because if they have the same games as for third parties as the other systems, they know that their first-party software is going to give them a huge edge along with whatever innovation they're going to put in the system. So they got to do that, and they have to have a mass market price or close to it, best they can, maybe $2.99 or whatever. And I think they really can do that with the technology that AMD is providing with the Polaris, with they announced that price being so low. They could realistically make an APU sold just the silicon, the CPU and the GPU of like a Polaris 10, for example. I've talked about this on Twitter and some other people, but they could actually get a Polaris 10 GPU for about $80 for volume price for AMD. Now, they probably have already done this, they've already spent the money or whatever, but they could realistically get a Polaris 10 GPU, the one that AMD's touting for $199 that can run VR and is 5.5 teraflops. They can get that same GPU just for the silicon for about $80 or so, plus the CPU about $40 or so. Again, I'm estimating. They could get their APU for the NX to be about $120 out the door for every console. That seems kind of expensive, but when you think about it, if Nintendo is going with a cartridge-based system, they would not have a disk drive in the console. So that would take away cost from that APU. They would have to have some storage space, so that we need to have a good hard drive in the NX. It's going to have to come with a controller, and it's going to have the form factor, whatever size they're making it, with fans or whatever to keep it cool. So there's going to be some cost involved. But when you think about it, there is a very realistic chance that Nintendo could release a system that is more powerful than PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, adding innovation to their controller for a price of less than $300. Being that this technology that AMD is releasing is so affordable, and when they're cutting deals like that behind closed doors with Nintendo, they're going to get it at an amazing price. I get people asking me every now and then what I think the NX is going to be. Well, basically what I think it's going to be is a traditional console with a solid controller that can do everything the other systems can do in a way that makes sense. Plus, it's going to have some kind of innovation that's going to take it beyond that and give it an edge over the other systems. Not necessarily 100% in the controller, but something it's going to do that the other systems can't do that will put it over that edge and make it a must-have. Then you have Nintendo's first-party games that always seem to knock it out of the park, especially now that they're trying extremely hard behind closed doors. You know they are. They're putting forth their best effort. They're going all out with this system. So I think the NX is going to be a great console, and I have no idea about the handheld, since we haven't heard anything really about it besides that rumor of it being a controller that has a 5 to 7 inch screen that you can take on the go. I'm not going to put too much faith in that right now, because a lot of the information from that rumor was incorrect to go along with that. So possibly some rumors have been mixed together with the handheld and the console. I'm not ruling out the possibility, but I think the NX will come with a traditional type controller option, and that a controller with a screen on it will not be mandatory, since that will definitely increase cost of the entire package, and it could eat away at the cost of the console itself for what they put into the console itself, like they did with the Wii U. Now, Nintendo is not going to do another Wii U and make the controller be so expensive that they have to take away functionality of the console. I don't think that's going to happen this time. It's not going to be a Wii U 2. I hope that makes sense for you guys, but I really think that they're going to have a separate device for the handheld that could also be used as the controller for the NX, but sold separately. And I think the NX will come in a box with a controller with an innovative feature that the other systems can't do, plus all the other features that the systems can do, plus the latest graphics technology. And I think that's exactly what the NX is going to be. Let me know what you guys think. Again, thank you so much for 8,000 subs. Thank you for your support. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe, leave me a comment, and I'll talk to you guys very soon in the next few days. Take care.